said, thanks Tiani, thanks for having me here. As Tiani said, I'm Paul from the Innovation Hub. I run a few programs here, mostly around open innovation. We're starting to get into the open data space a bit as well. So I'm going to be very brief. I think the point of today is to hack. So I think that should get started as soon as possible. But we, as the sponsor, this is like our sponsor slot, so I'm going to use it quickly. But I think it's an opportunity for everyone. So there's two things we're working on. Most of this is going to focus on GAP ICT, but then I'll also just touch on the Hack for Water quickly. All right, so this is the Innovation Hub. Tiani introduced us. If you want to know more about it, you can come speak to me, or Tiani can chat to you about it. But essentially, it's this space, and then we're setting up innovation centers. Actually, for anyone who's from Joburg, we're setting up a digital media incubator in the digital innovation zone in Braamfontein. So we've got about 500 squares there. That should be up soon. And then we have innovation centers in Soweto, Ga-Rankuwa, should have some in Tembisa as well. So wherever you are in the province, there should be a site pretty close to you soon. So it's not just the space anymore. All right, the first one I want to touch on quickly is the Hack for Water. So that comes out of our Open Innovation Exchange platform. If you go to the OpenIX, so there's two websites that you've got to write down today if you're interested. So the first is openix.innovationhub.com. That's got all of our open innovation challenges. We just closed one on a patient referral system between clinics and hospitals that the Department of Health was looking to solve. So it's probably too late for that, but anyway, for you to keep in mind, we run those quite regularly. And then the most recent one is Hack for Water, which is being run with the Department of Water and Sanitation, DPSA, etc. So the best thing to do is to go to these websites and you can get all the information there. Maybe just to mention, Hack for Water, they've gone for video entries on this one. So they're looking for video submissions just to make it a bit more interactive. But you can also, there will be a Hack for Water event. I believe it will be around 21st, 22nd of April, where you can exhibit and present innovations that you have. It's an open thing. It's expected to be quite big. So if you are interested in that, you should probably speak to me for now. There are some contact emails that I can give you. But there's essentially free exhibition space that will probably either be at Sandton Convention Center or Gallagher Estate, where you can showcase what you're doing to a wider audience. So that's a couple of websites on that one. Then the other program we're launching soon, so it'll be on the 11th of April, is GAP ICT. So that's the web address there. We run these annually, so there's 4 competitions. GAP ICT is one of the 4. The others are in green, medical, and biosciences. So for today, we're just talking about GAP ICT. It's really straightforward. It's an innovation competition. You submit an idea, gets evaluated. If the idea is cool and you select it, you win seed funding. The seed funding is between 50,000 and 250,000 rand. So that goes directly to your business and your product development, and you use it for development of your product, and then for incubation with us at the same time. So you get incubation support services from the Innovation Hub. It also means you don't have to be based here, as I said before. We have a presence around the province. So it's incubation and seed funding, and as I said, it opens on the 11th of April. These are just some of the arbitrary points about the competition. Essentially, in GAP ICT, we're selecting 4 winners who share the majority of the seed funding. Typically, we're getting about 120 entries, so you get a sense of who you're competing with. All the semi-finalists get an accelerated training. We're changing things slightly this year because there is a there's a technology training workshop that's being held. I've got some dates now. There's a technology workshop being held in kind of mid-April that will give startups an opportunity, or technologists especially, an opportunity to understand how to launch a business. I'll go to that in the timeline soon. So we are changing things slightly this year. As I said before, you're sharing around 650,000 Rand in seed funding, and you join one of our incubation programs, and then there's an award ceremony in November at the end of the year. Okay, that's just the high-level timeline. You might want to take a photo of that, or I can send you the presentation. The website's currently being updated. I think it's about 90% there, so most of these dates are on the website. Yeah, the key thing to highlight just for today especially is that there's this tech entrepreneurship training happening in that third block. The applications for that are open now, and I think they close on the 11th of April actually, the date the full competition opens. So if you want to go for a tech entrepreneurship training, I think it's roughly 5 days in total. It's spread over about 4 weeks. So if you want to get a better idea on how you might start up a tech company, that training is being developed by TIA, who's the Technology Innovation Agency. And they're the major technology and innovation funding agency in the country. So we are running that with them in Gauteng. Right, the only thing to highlight then is that the competition's launching on the 11th of April. Entries will close on the 2nd of June. Okay, just a couple of tips. It seems obvious, but I'd say about 80% of the entries have issues with one of these 4 things. So I don't know how, but I'd suggest you either come and speak to us or you really try to digest these things. But the first thing is that we get a lot of submissions, and a lot of them are, for example, in the health space, and a lot of them are about managing queues in hospitals, for example, or scheduling appointments in hospitals. So it's very hard to distinguish one scheduling app from another scheduling app. What you need to do is somehow describe what's unique about your offer, and not to. So you can describe the high-level process initially, but I'll get through that very quickly and start focusing on what's unique about your proposal. It's fine if you're doing a scheduling app, but try to speak about what's unique. This connects to the second point if I go down. So it would be most useful if you can speak about your local context or a local scenario that you've dealt with. So if you're from Karinkua or if you're from Sandton, if you can speak about a scenario that you've dealt with and you've tested your idea, even if it's just conceptually with a local context, that adds a huge amount of value to your submission. The third point is to look at proposing an implementation partner. So start thinking about how you might need to implement this and who you would need to work with to get this to market. So it doesn't have to be detailed, but it's to start giving us a sense of what you need to start moving towards market. So if you're a business analyst and you've got a good idea, but you don't have a developer working with you yet, at least you can say, look, I've got a good idea, I've worked out some of the user stories, but I don't actually know how to develop this, so I've either identified someone who's technically quite strong, but I can't pay them yet, or I need someone who's a development partner to work with me, and to do it in quite a specific way. Then at least we're seeing that you're starting to think about what the problem is and how you're wanting to start addressing it by finding a partner to work with. And then the last one is don't assume your idea is revolutionary. So if you're developing a hospital scheduling app, it's probably not revolutionary. Even if you've got something that you think is revolutionary, it probably isn't. It really isn't. We see literally hundreds of entries. And I think I've probably seen 2 that are potentially revolutionary in my entire life. So your idea, and it's amazing how many times we get this, everyone says their idea is revolutionary. Just assume it isn't and start thinking about why your local context is important and how you're addressing a problem in your local context. So always, if I can recommend anything, always go back to that bottom right-hand corner. Speak about something in your local context, how you tested your idea in a local context. So if you're doing a library, like a textbook trading app for university students, how have you done it, and you're based at TUT, how have you tested that concept with some fellow TUT students? You might have sold a few books to students, you have a sense of what students are willing to pay. You can see how that process might be improved by developing an app around it or a web app around it. So the technology should help you solve a problem, but it would be good if you start thinking about the problem, testing your solution to it in an offline way, and then building an ICT solution to help you make that more efficient. Anyway, so if that's not clear, I'm very happy to speak to people afterwards, just to give you a sense of what we're looking for and what the adjudicators look for. But those are probably our 4 big things that we'd like you to look at. I think that's it for me.